Unmute.
There we go.
She can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me? We'll see.
So,
Oh, good. We popped. Ooh, big day. Melinda, can you hear me? I can't hear you. What's wrong? Is your audio on, Melinda? Okay. Give me a moment. Give me a moment.
And see them.
Oh, look, yours is coming on there. Somebody's too loud. Huh? They should be able to, somebody's too loud. But yours or theirs? I'm gonna have to ask two questions.
Is it? Great. Yeah, but then you have to print it.
Can you hear us, Georgia Lee?
I can. It's not very loud.
Bill, turn this down. Yeah, it might be yours. It's yours.
How do I turn this up? Lonnie?
Maybe it's my volume. You turn it up a little bit where they can hear you.
Wait a minute.
Okay. The echo.
There, now can you hear me? Okay. I hope it is.
Who's it?
I turned the sound up.
Well, Georgia Lee, can you hear me better now?
I can hear you really well.
Okay, thank you. I can hear it off of that one too.
Ooh, I've got you with the light right behind you. Come over this way. Yeah, I think they can see you better. Maybe.
Did you ever think
you got another one of these damn?
to resort to this? But you know, that's what some people, you know, he's one giving them missionaries and stuff to take. But you might watch the school website, and when they have some come up, ask them, tell them, look, I need a good one, you know, that works. I mean, they clear everything off of them, but if you need just internet, you know, hook into a hard drive, your internet. We got Wi-Fi. Yeah. Just for good. And I can help out my house. Yeah. My cousin works, she's a teacher over there at Farmers Hill. Yeah.
It's really dark, isn't it?
You know, one of the, I
How's
was
that?
in that school at the time.
You there?
Do you remember
Yeah.
Mr.
Now don't, you're fine. I'm trying to get you there. Okay.
He's been like a superintendent, he's been a curriculum, he's been, I think, an AD, you know, different things behind us on like. He was telling me.
Now my dad's on stage, she's here.
Okay, I think that this is start. Who is that?
Oh, you know.
Movie in the session.
So you don't have the marker. My hair is killing me, sticking a breakout for me. But it's just.
Yeah. Be careful, I'm not going here all alone.
Yeah.
You nervous? Nope. Good. I'm just nervous because I didn't get
She got her home, or she got herself. No, she's in the room with her.
Should have already done.
I got a different kind of phone. I'm on Zoom. She's on an app or something.
Does yours show everybody?
Hmm?
Does yours show everybody?
What's this?
I don't know.
Let's get your face. There you go. There. Okay.
I'm not gonna watch it on YouTube. People go on YouTube watch all this.
Oh, yeah.
We're all over the world.
Too much info.
Exactly. Isn't that what people, what started to follow man? They thought they wanted to know knowledge, wanted to know.
Yeah.
I don't like all my stuff. I don't, that banking and all that.
No.
We keep getting calls here. You got
I
30
need
minutes.
water.
Pay your electricity, it's gonna get cut off.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got one of those on Center Point.
Yeah, we
And I
call,
talked to them and I, you can just scan it. I talked to them and I said, well, what is your address? No, this is the number you called. You tell me what you want,
yeah, don't talk to them.
I just play along with them. That's what I told
One of
them.
them said,
that I thought,
call me, said something that
yeah,
your social security number's been called. If you don't call back,
Oh, I
we're
got
gonna,
one.
we're
Yeah.
gonna come arrest you. I'm
Yeah.
saying, I said, come
Come
get
on.
me.
Come on.
Please
I
come
need
get me.
vacation.
Darlene, come here, help.
Maybe
I don't know.
I keep hearing noise. I guess it was. I don't know who that is.
And you don't have to docket to know, like,
Right.
know what order and stuff.
I know one day with Harris, I thought, when they gonna, this and we're gonna trial or dismissal thing. You're just sitting there, you know, if they can't hear you and they call it, well,
Mhm.
you stick that monkey on there.
Yeah.
We're here.
Where's your grandkids?
They live in, with their mama in Liberty.
Yeah.
She moved from Dayton to black job, but
Yeah,
those kids really like Liberty School.
yeah.
Mhm.
Liberty's nice. I
She was
like it.
behind, my girl was behind in Dayton, was going, have to go an extra year or something. They moved her to Liberty, and got in a program, she graduated a year early. It was like,
That's good.
You got two grandkids.
Darlene, come in here.
You're not
Get
getting
you a
off
chair,
the
we may need you for it, so we can't get past, look at this.
At least you're getting more than I'm getting, but I can hear them every once in a while.
And
You know, they ought to have it to where they dial you up, and you have to be waiting there, and you answer. You
one
know, that way
day,
everybody's not on
Jimmy
there.
said he did that, they couldn't get the Zoom set up,
Uh-huh.
so he just called here and did it on the phone.
To me, that's what they ought to do.
Then they'll know,
You give them the number and you sit
Then they'll
by
know
that
who they-
number from 10 o'clock on till you
Yeah.
get your phone call, you know? Because I feel like the more people we get on, that's probably when they start having the problems of
oh,
connection,
definitely.
you know?
Yeah, because I think we went to 25 minutes and we probably which was fine.
You go on and do what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, I don't think the judge is in there yet. I ain't heard his voice.
You hadn't heard him speak. But see, these shots are at somebody's office
Yeah.
Our house or
or
something.
house or wherever.
Unmute. Good morning. Everybody hear me? Shake your head up and down.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We'll keep you muted until it's your turn to go. So, Chambers County Probate Court come to order. First on the docket, let me find my glasses.
There she is.
Cause number 20 CPR 0109, the state of Stacy Lee Absher. Who's here on Miss Absher? Stacy Lee Absher.
Judge Weston Cotton here, and I have,
I'm looking for you, Weston. I see you. I found you.
here I am. I have Jessica Seegers with me. I think Chad is online. Kate is online, and I believe Christy is there.
Morning.
I believe we're all here.
Okay. So I need to swear those in are going to testify. So if you'll raise your right hand, and Melinda, you are muted. So Melinda, you're muted.
Okay, is it, I'm not now.
Now you're not. Go ahead.
Okay. Do y'all swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct? So help you God?
Okay. You put your hand down and you may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Judge. First off, I'd like to call Jessica Seegers. Ms. Seegers, would you state your name for the record, please?
Jessica Seegers.
Can everybody hear her?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And you're Stacy Lee Absher's daughter, is that correct?
Yes.
She died August 17th, 2020 in Harris County, is that right?
Yes.
But she had a fixed place of residence in Chambers County at the time of her death.
Yes.
Okay. She was not married, is that correct, at the time of her death?
Yes.
She was married to Mike Mormon in 1993 and divorced from him in 95. And then she married Chad Seegers in 96 and divorced from him in 2009. Is that right?
Yes.
Those are the only marriages that she had, correct?
Yes.
And she had 2 children, Cade Mormon and you, Jessica Seegers. Is that right?
Yes.
No other children to the best of your knowledge.
Correct.
And she did not have a will, did she?
No, sir.
but there is a necessity for the administration of this estate. There's property to be sold, bills to be paid, things like that.
Yes.
And she did not apply for nor receive Medicaid benefits on or after March 1st, 2005, did she?
Correct.
And today you're asking that you and your brother be appointed as independent co-executors or co-administrators of the estate. Is that right?
Yes.
Neither one of you are disqualified from serving. Okay. Judge, I pass the witness.
All right, Counselor, you may proceed, Ms. Price.
Okay. Kate, if you'll unmute, I have a couple of questions for you real quick.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now you heard all the questions I asked Jessica, right?
Yes, sir.
If I were to ask you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes, sir.
So you don't know any different other than the history we just heard.
No, sir.
And you're asking that you and she be appointed as co-administrators, independent co-administrators, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Ms. Price, good morning. You're muted, Cindy.
Judge?
Sir?
I need to move forward with my witnesses
Am
here.
I still muted, Judge?
Are you, you're item, correct?
I'm the ad litem, Judge.
Okay, you want to cross these witnesses?
No, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Okay, let me call Krista Choka, please. Christy, are you there?
Yes, sir.
There she
Okay.
is. Okay.
Now,
Morning.
how did you know Stacy Absher?
She was my sister, stepsister.
Okay, and how long did you know her effectively?
Since 95, 90, maybe even 94.
Okay. And you knew that she lived in Chambers County at the time of her death, right?
Yes, sir.
And she was not married at the time of her death.
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay. She was married twice and divorced twice, to your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did she have any children?
Yes.
You know who they are?
Yes.
Can you name them?
Kate and Jessica?
Okay. No other children that you're aware of?
No.
Never heard her talk about another child or never took another child in her home to raise?
No.
And do you know if she had a will?
No, sir.
Never talked about it, never heard her say anything about a will.
No, sir.
And you have no interest in this estate. You're not going to be inheriting anything, are you?
No, sir.
Not been offered anything for your testimony today?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay. I pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Price?
Yes, Judge. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Christy, you and I had a conversation a while back. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
And essentially what Mr. Cotton asked you is the same questions that I asked you when we had our conversation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And nothing has changed. There's not been a will found to your knowledge.
No, ma'am.
And you're not going to be inheriting from this estate.
No, ma'am.
And there are 2 children and only 2 children of Stacy Absher. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you. Can I, your next witness, Council?
Thank you. I'd call Chad Seegers. Mr. Seegers, would you state your name for us, please?
Dad, you're muted. That's the
There we go.
number one
There we
saying
go.
2020. You're muted.
Yeah.
Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me
Council.
now?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. You're the former husband or ex-husband of Stacy Lee Absher. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your response.
That is correct.
Okay. And you and she had a daughter, is that right?
That is correct.
And that's Jessica. And you knew she had another
Yes,
son
sir.
by another marriage, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's Kay.
Correct.
Okay. And at the time of her death, she was living in and has fixed place of residence in Chambers County, right?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, she was not married at the time of her death.
That is correct.
Okay. And you don't have any interest in her estate. You're not planning to, you're not expecting to inherit anything from her estate, are you?
No.
And you haven't been offered anything for your testimony here today, have you?
No.
And do you know if she had a will? Did she ever talk about a will?
Aware of.
Okay. I'd pass the witness, Judge.
That's right.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Seegers, you and I had a conversation also a few weeks ago, correct?
Correct.
And in that conversation, you essentially answered the same thing that you testified here today. Is that correct? And were you ever aware that she had a will or wrote a will, even a handwritten will?
No, no.
Okay. And you don't have any interest in this estate, is that correct? That's all I have, Judge.
Okay. All right, Counselor, any other witnesses?
No, Judge, no other witnesses. This is a non-taxable estate and we'd ask that the appraisers be waived.
All right, so done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You folks take care. Ms. Price, you're next. 20 CPR 0115. The state,
We're passing on that one, Judge.
we're gonna pass on it. That's it, you, Melinda.
That's Melinda.
Okay. All right, 20 CPR 0119. Interest state of Vicky Campo. Ms. Price.
Yes, Judge. Today is a guardianship proceeding for the person in the estate of Vicky Campo. And I have the dad here who's actually asking to be the guardian of his child. And Mr. Cotton was the ad litem on this case, Judge.
You may proceed, ma'am. We've already sworn everyone in, so.
All right, thank you. Mr. Campo, state your correct name for the court, please.
Leroy James Campo Jr.
And you are the father of Vicky Campo?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're asking the court today for guardianship of the person in the estate of Vicky Campo.
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is Vicky?
Vicky's 32, be 33 in December.
And she lives with you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And where address is that?
14010 Hawthorne Circle, Mount Bellevue, Texas, Chambers County.
And how long have you all lived as a family here in Chambers County?
7 years.
And her mom is still living and she lives with y'all too. Y'all are still married, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But Ms. Campo has waived the right to be guardian. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's due to her health conditions. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Vicky also has a sister. Is that correct? An adult sister.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's Valerie. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And both of these ladies, Bonnie and Valerie, have signed their waiver in favor of you to be the guardian of the person in the estate. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had established, can you tell a little bit to the court exactly what's the issue with Vicky?
Vicky was born with hydrocephalic. Now she's microcephalic. She's never walked, spoke. She's visually impaired. 100% handicapped, special needs.
And so if in your mind, you know that she needs to have some guardianship proceedings because of her age, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she really needs to be 100% taken care of, is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is the person during her life so far have taken her to the doctor?
Myself.
And who takes her to the dentist if it's needed?
Myself.
And who takes care of her financial needs?
I do.
And who, do you happen to know offhand what Vicky gets in Social Security income every month?
About $738.
Okay. And so you're asking the court today to grant you letters of guardianship over Vicky for the person in the estate. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were qualified to serve as the guardian of Vicky.
Yes, ma'am.
Pass this witness, Judge.
Mr. Cotton.
Judge, I don't have any questions for the witness. He and I visited pretty in depth when I made my home visit. And it's my belief that she is in need of a guardian and that he is providing well for her. They have a great setup for her. And he speaks as someone who is very dedicated to the child. I think he should be appointed as the guardian, and she does need a guardian. She should retain no rights.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, Ms. Price, anything else?
The only thing, Judge, is the bond for that, just based off of her income that she receives. So there's just a minimal bond amount if Mr. Cotton agrees to that.
Judge, since it's Social Security, I don't think you should have to post a bond for that. I think there has to be a minimal bond for the guardian of the person, but as far as, since it's Social Security, I don't think you should be required to post a bond for the estate.
So there is no estate, correct?
It only is Social Security. That's correct. It should be a
Okay.
minimal bond for him, a personal bond.
All right, $100 bond will suffice, cash bond. And I hear my, what's the name of the, Vicky Campo?
Yes, sir. And it's VIC.
Leroy J. Campo Jr. as guardian of Vicky Campo.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are we excused?
You are. Thank you, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you,
Cotton.
Judge. Good to see you again. Thank you. Nice.
All right, number 120, the state of David Michael Thurston. Ms. Clapper. Good morning.
She's muted.
Now, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Good.
You may proceed, ma'am. We've already sworn,
Ms. Wooten,
we
yes.
sworn in, so.
Is your name Lois L. Woodfin? Yes. Okay, can
I'm
you hear
sorry.
Judge, or does she need to take off her mask?
No, we can hear.
Okay.
We're good.
And you knew David Michael Thruston? Yes. He was a resident of Chambers County for many years before his death. Correct. But he died in the Heritage Villa Nursing and Rehabilitation in Dayton. Yes. Liberty County on August the 11th of 2020. Correct. Now, was he ever married during his lifetime? No. Or have any children? No. So Chambers County, he did have property at the time a will was created, correct? Yes. Which is subsequently before his death sold. Yes. But he did do and prepare a valid will on December 4th, 2018 in my law offices. Yes. And that will that is attached and presented to the court is a copy of the will, correct? Correct. Because you and Mr. Thruston moved residences after the will was prepared. Right. And you have not been able to find the original will. No. But that original will was prepared by me. Correct. Correct. It was signed by my husband, Rob Clapper, and Lonnie Hassan, his secretary. Yes. And notarized by Cynthia Clark. Correct. And they're all in the offices today, which we will present to the court later. So you've done a diligent search to find the original will. Yes. But this that is presented to the court is a true and correct copy of the lost will. Correct. All right. Now, there is a need for the will to be probated, even though it's minimal estate, in order to dispose of some of the estate issues. Correct? Correct. And you're asking the court to approve the admission of this lost will to probate so that you can administer, you're the named executrix in the will. Correct. And you're willing to perform those duties. Yes. And you're not disqualified by law to do so. He has one brother, correct? Correct. And we have notified him of this, but he has refused to participate. Correct. And he is not named in the will as a beneficiary. No. And for the court, the only asset that you can ascertain that is before the court is a truck. Correct. So the size of the estate at this point, after he's done everything during his lifetime he wanted to do, is minimal. Yes. All right. Judge, at this point, if you would like to hear from the notary and the two witnesses, if you feel that's necessary, I would do that.
I don't think that's necessary. I think she's proved up the copy of the will, so I'll hear back probate and authorize letters.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, number 124, the state of Hope L. Wallace. Good morning, Commissioner. Ms. Savage, you on?
They were.
Yeah, I know. I saw Bill a while ago. All right. Seem to have lost him. Okay. Well, I see Bill. All right, I see him. Lily, you are muted. Bill, you are muted. Where'd it go? There, Bill.
Hello, Judge.
Can you hear me?
I can hear both of you now.
Okay,
All right. You may proceed, Ms. Savage.
okay. I call William O'Brien Wallace Jr. And he's been sworn.
Yeah, he's been sworn in, so
Okay.
proceed.
Mr. Wallace, did your mother, Hope L. Wallace, pass away on September the 28th of 2020?
Yes,
And she passed away in Houston, Harris County, Texas,
yes,
at the age of 92.
yes,
And at the time of her death, was she domiciled and had a fixed place of residence in Chambers County, Texas?
yes.
And I'm going to show you a copy of a document that has been filed with the court, the original has, and we've got a copy here that's dated June the 29th of 2007. To your knowledge, was that her last will and testament?
Yes.
And it was never revoked.
No.
And there is a necessity to administer this estate.
Yes.
Okay, were there any children born or adopted to your mom after the date of the will?
No.
And was she ever divorced or had a marriage annulled or declared void?
No.
And she left no bequest to the state of Texas, governmental agency, or charity?
No.
You're named as independent executor and you're not disqualified from serving as such.
No.
And you're asking that letters testamentary be issued to you?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a non-taxable estate, and are you asking that appraisers be waived?
Appraisers be waived.
And we have filed the proof of death and other facts with the court previously, and would ask that the court grant the letters upon us filing the oath with the court. Hello?
Hello?
Judge, you're muted.
Judge is muted.
You're muted.
I said, were you afraid to ask him if he was of good moral character? I know him so well.
I don't ask that. Not now.
I'll say.
All right, hereby admit the will to probate and authorize letters. Thank you, Lily. Take care.
Okay.
125, the state of Rebecca Ann Ayers. Ayers.
All right, thank God electronics didn't fail us.
Mr. Baker, I saw you while, there you are. Okay, you're muted, Richard.
How about that?
That's perfect. And we've already sworn everyone in. You
No,
may,
sir, we need to swear in the witnesses.
okay, they weren't hit a while ago. We swore everyone. Go ahead and raise your right
correct.
hand, please.
That's correct.
Raise your right hand, please.
Y'all swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God.
Yes.
You put your hand down and you may proceed, Counselor.
Okay, Judge, this is one of the unusual. This is a last will and testament that is not self-proving. Now, we're offering it for the admission to probate as a muniment of title only, but we have Miss Brenda Richardson. She's going to testify that she was a witness that signed on the will, and that all that occurrence was proper. So, first witness is Ms. Richardson. You are Brenda Richardson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you knew Rebecca Ann Ayers during her life, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you a copy of the will that is tendered to the court for admission to probate as a muniment of title. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes, sir.
Would you look and see if that is your signature on there?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And so you are the same Brenda Richardson whose address is 2713 Blueberry Lane, Pasadena, Texas, 77502, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And there's another witness on that will. What is her name?
Nancy Robeson.
Okay. Did you know Nancy before she witnessed that will?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Rebecca sign that will, and you saw Nancy sign that will, and they saw you sign that will?
Yes, sir.
All right. And y'all were all in each other's presence?
Yes, sir.
Now, when Rebecca signed that will, was she under any undue influence or duress or coercion?
No, sir.
Did she sign that will as her own free act?
Yes, sir.
And at the time that Rebecca signed that will, was she at least 18 years of age?
Yes, sir.
And were you and the other witness at least 14 years of age?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now, that takes care of that. No further questions of that. Oh, well, yeah, I do. We have a one-page proof of execution of attested will, and you have read this and you're going to sign it after your testimony.
Yes, sir.
And everything in this one-page document is true. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's within your personal knowledge.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Judge, I've passed the witness on that one, and I have another witness here, Mr. Justin Glenn Ayers.
You may proceed on Mr. Ayers.
Okay. Mr. Ayers, are you the same Justin Glenn Ayers named in the will that Ms. Richardson just testified about?
Yes, sir.
And we're offering that will to probate as a muniment of title, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Rebecca Ann Ayers was your mother, correct?
Yes, sir.
And she was born, her maiden name was Chandler, and then at one time she had the name Reese as her surname, Reece. But when she did the will and she died, she was known as Rebecca Ann Ayers, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, is it true that your mother was born on or about 28 December 1959 in or around Pasadena, Texas?
Yes, sir.
And that she died on or about 20 April 2020 in Chambers County?
Yes, sir.
And that she was 60 years of age when she died?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, at the time she died, she lived in Chambers County, Texas.
Yes, sir.
She has a house there in Harvest Ridge.
Yes, sir.
All right. And now that document, were you familiar with it when she made that will?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, did she ever revoke that will?
No, sir.
And we have tendered the original to the court.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now, are you also familiar with her business affairs such that there's no need for an administration of her estate? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's because the debts are taken care of and there's just no need to do the full-blown administration.
Yes, sir.
And also, you are the sole devisee in that will, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, after your mama made that will, did she have any children born to her?
No, sir.
Did she adopt any?
No, sir.
All right. And also, after March 1st of 2005, did your mama apply for or receive Medicaid benefits?
No, sir.
Okay. And at the time she died, was your mama married?
No, sir.
All right. And since you're the sole devisee, there's no need for you to do an affidavit with the court that you distributed the property to yourself. So we're asking the judge waive that requirement, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right. Judge, we ask that you accept the testimony, accept the will, admit it to probate as a muniment of title, and sign the proposed order.
So done. Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
You folks take care. Cause number 126, the state of.
We're passing, Judge.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm sorry, we're passing on that one as well. I don't know why that came on the.
Okay. Cause number 128. We're going on it.
Let's try it.
State of Julie P. Tomac.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where are you? Oh, I see you. Okay. Who's going to testify, man?
The one that's marked Kyle.
All right, you can proceed with testimony. We've already sworn your, are you testifying? You have a client there or where's Kyle? Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you please state your name for the court?
Emma Crocker Williams.
And what was your relationship to Julie P. Tomac?
She's my grandmother.
And did Julie P. Tomac die in Beach City, Chambers County, Texas on October 8th, 2020 at the age of 96 years?
Yes.
And the court has jurisdiction and venue because Julie resided in Beach City at the time of her death. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I'd like the court, request the court to take judicial notice of the will that was submitted to the clerk of the court dated February 10th, 2004.
So done.
Ms. Williams, the will that was submitted to the court, did you recognize that document?
Yes.
And that document contained the signature of Julie P. Tomac?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, was that will ever revoked by her?
No.
And Ms. Tomac was married one time to Peter John Tomac Sr. on January 31st, 1948, but divorced from him in February of 1970 in Chambers County, Texas. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at the time of her death, she was unmarried,
Yes.
and there were no other known marriages of the decedent. Are these statements true?
Yes. There's no other.
Okay. And no children were born to or adopted by Ms. Tomac after the making of her will. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the following children predeceased her: Mary Tomac Crocker, who died August 24th, 1973. Martha Tomac Ritter, having died January 21st, 2003. And then lastly, Peter John Tomac Jr. survived Ms. Tomac, but later died October 15th, 2020, 7 days after the decedent. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but the beneficiaries under that will are Gordon Crocker, which is your father and the son-in-law of Miss Tomac, and yourself equally, so long as you both survive the decedent by 90 days or probate has occurred, whichever occurs first. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so no other children were brought into the home by the decedent, none were adopted by her before or after the making of that purported will. Is that correct?
Correct.
And she didn't apply for or receive any Medicaid benefits on or after March 1st, 2005. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are there any unpaid debts not secured by real estate?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Is this a taxable estate?
No.
And to the best of your knowledge, no administration of this estate is necessary and no letters testamentary are being requested. Is that correct?
Correct.
And since you, as the applicant, are a primary beneficiary as well as your father, we will file a 180-day affidavit of fulfillment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And no state government agency or charitable organization was named in the will as a beneficiary. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're requesting that the will be admitted to probate as a munificent of title only.
So done. Thank you, ladies. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, cause number 129, the state of Don Richard Russell. Mr. McCall, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Okay, everyone's been sworn in. You may proceed, Counselor.
My witnesses, they hadn't been sworn in yet, Your Honor.
Okay, well, she swore in everybody a while ago, but let's just make sure. Raise your
Also-
right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Now you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Your name is David Russell.
Yes, sir.
Your dad was Don Russell.
Yes, sir.
He passed away on May the 18th of this year,
Yes, sir.
and he had a valid written will that was dated June the 11th of 2008. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And do you recognize this to be a exact copy of that original that we filed with the court?
Yes, sir.
And you recognize this to be his signature?
I do.
And he had his fixed place of residence in Chambers County on the day he passed away.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And he never married or divorced after the date of this will?
No, sir.
He didn't have any children born to or adopted to him after the
No,
date of the will? He didn't leave anything in any charities or governmental entities?
No, sir.
The will names you and your sister Stephanie as co-independent executors, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're both qualified, you're not disqualified from serving as executor?
Yes.
And you're here today asking that the court approve your application to probate your dad's will and name you and your sister as co-independent executors, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's all I have, Judge.
Okay, hereby admit the will of probate and authorize letters. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, cause number 130, the state of Joe Wilson Blythe. Mr. Williams, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Just for the record, Don Russell was a tremendous guy. I knew him, and he was a good fellow from Winnie.
Yes, he was.
All right, I'm here to offer the will of Joe Wilson Blythe to probate as a muniment of title. Mr. Blythe passed away April the 3rd of 2016. At the time of his death, he had a domicile and fixed place of residence in Beach City, Texas. He left a valid self-proved will dated August the 9th of 2007. That original will was a joint will, and it was previously filed with the court under cause number 20 CPR 0114, the estate of Billy Joe Blythe. After the 2005, he did not receive or apply for any Medicaid benefits or anything like that. There were no children born to or adopted by the decedent after said time, nor was he divorced. No state or governmental agency or charitable organization was named. And we'd ask that the will be admitted as a probate as a muniment of title.
So done. For the record, Mr. Blythe, I grew up with Mr. Blythe there in Barbers Hill. He was a good guy too.
Yes, I understand that. Thank you, Eli. May I be excused?
Yes, sir, you may. Take care.
Thank you.
Cause number 131, the state of Autry Sandlin. Ms. Augustine, good morning.
Good morning, Judge, and the applicant, Lisa Mann, is on with us.
Okay, Ms. Mann, you get sworn in when we started.
I didn't raise my hand, I'm sorry.
Raise your hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct? So help you God.
I do.
You may proceed, Counsel.
Thank you, Judge. This is an application to probate the will and the first codicil as a monument of title. Would you please state your name for the court, please?
Lisa Mann.
And you're formerly known as Lisa Revier and Lisa Sandlin?
I am.
Okay. And did you recognize the document filed with the court to be the last will and testament and first codicil of Autry Sandlin?
Yes.
And is Mr. Sandlin your father?
Yes.
Right, and you reviewed and signed the proof of death, and we filed that with the court, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did Mr. Sandlin die on or about December 19, 2018 in Beaumont, Jefferson County, Texas?
Yes.
And was Mr. Sandlin 75 years of age and residing in Winnie, Chambers County, Texas at the time of his death?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, did Mr. Sandlin die without revoking his will dated May 29th, 1997, and the first codicil dated February 4th, 2018?
Correct.
Was there a child or any children adopted or born to Mr. Sandlin after the execution of the will and first codicil?
No, ma'am.
Okay, at the time of the execution of the will, was Mr. Sandlin of sound mind and at least 18 years of age?
He was.
And did Mr. Sandlin have a marriage dissolve after the will was made?
He did not.
Was the state of Texas or any charity a devicee under his will?
No.
And to the best of your knowledge, are there any unpaid debts owed by the estate of Mr. Sandlin?
There are none.
So there's no need for an administration of the estate, correct?
Correct.
And you're asking the court today to admit the will to probate as a monument of title?
Yes.
That's all we have, Judge.
Admit the will as a monument of title. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
132, the state of Mary Ann Jane Whitley. Ms. Clapper.
Okay, Randy, will you unmute?
Randy's on. Randy, you're muted.
Unmute.
Unmute.
I think he's looking for it.
Randy, unmute.
At the bottom left of your screen.
Bottom left of the screen, Randy. According to my IT. There you go. All right. We swear a while ago.
Yes, sir.
All right. You may proceed, Counselor.
Your name is Randy Ray Whitley.
Correct.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
That's correct.
And you're the son of Marion Jane Whitley.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, we have a delay. All right.
I
and
can
you
hear him.
are the applicant in this because you,
Yes, ma'am.
Randy, they cannot hear you.
No, I can hear him. You're the one
Okay.
who have an issue with.
As the
Georgia.
you can't hear me?
Yeah, you're cutting in and
How
out.
strange. Everyone hears me.
Good one.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now,
Right.
your mother died on November 12th of this year.
Correct.
All right. And she was a resident of Chambers County, Texas for more than 45 years before her death, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And she was trying to see about living in Colorado, but the time for establishing a Colorado residency had not passed at the time of her death, correct? It was less than 45 days.
That's my understanding.
Can you say yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Now, you are named as the successor executor, but your father's named as the first executor in the will, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Judge, I'm just going to make this faster a little bit.
Yeah,
and then
I can,
I'll
and
ask
we
you
can hear
everything
him,
at one
Georgia.
time.
We can hear him. It's your computer that's cutting out. So you're having a problem hearing him, but we can hear him loud and clear, and we can hear you also. So go ahead.
It's Windstream.
Right.
Windstream. Yeah. Okay, now, Hall has signed a waiver of the right to serve as executor due to his health, and it's not very good at this time, is it?
No, it's not.
Yes. And you've signed a waiver of service. Your brother Worth has signed a waiver of service, and you are here today to present the will to the court, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you have before you a will that was signed by your mother, two witnesses in the law firm of Fulbright and Jaworski on January 28th of 1983. You recognize that as your mother's signature,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Yes. And it has a self-proving affidavit attached to it, and you're asking the court to admit it as your mother's last will and testament.
Correct.
All right. There's a necessity for the will to be admitted. There's no Medicaid benefits that were ever administered to her during her lifetime.
Not to my
And
knowledge.
she was married one time only to your father. There's only two children, you and Worth, and no other child was born to or adopted to her after the marriage. You're willing to serve as executor
Yes,
and
ma'am.
asking the court to admit the will to probate and issue letters of independent administration. You also are designating me as the registered agent in Texas for any service in this estate, and you'll be signing that designation today after this hearing and
Correct.
taking the oath in front of a notary after this hearing.
Correct.
And if I were to ask you every question on this proof of death, it would be correct. And no other facts that you know of than what you presented to the court.
Not to my knowledge.
That's all, Your Honor.
All right, hereby admit the will to probate and authorize letters. And for the record, your mom and dad, good folks. I really enjoyed knowing them.
Thank you.
So are.
If he's capable, tell him Judge said hello.
I'll tell him that.
All right, take care.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're excused.
All right. I think we're back to the top, number 26, State of Lester Guidry Jr. Bill, good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
Good morning, Judge.
You may proceed, sir.
Morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
Okay. Well, Judge, I'm want to address the court and see how you want us to handle this. Apparently, we have two competing applications for independent administration, and I think you have George's report as the ad litem. So, I mean, we can go forward, and I can prove up mine. He can prove up his. I don't know how you want to do it, Judge.
Melinda told me there were some competing. I'm looking for it in the queue. You see it?
No, I didn't put them in the queue.
Oh, okay, they're not in. Oh, you gave them to me, didn't you?
I did.
For the judgment, just in case.
And Mr. Shelton filed the dependent administration this morning. An order.
right, so. All right, tell me what you found, Mr. Sparks.
Hey, Judge, good morning. How you doing, sir?
Good morning.
We had initially filed an application for heirship filed by the daughter of the deceased, Mr. Lester Guidry. Her name is Erica Fontenot. And Mrs. Fontenot and the surviving spouse, Mrs. Janelle Guidry, have, I guess, competing, if not conflicting, requests for independent. And since there's no agreement, my understanding is the state code more or less kind of requires it to be a dependent administration. And that's what we were asking for. And we're also asking that it be joint. I think other than that, everybody's in agreement in terms of who the surviving spouse is and who the two heirs are in terms of Mrs. Erica Fontenot and her sister, Mrs. T.R. Stevenson.
Okay, so, and you and Mr. Bill, the only two attorneys?
Yes, sir. Well, we have Miss Clappers the ad litem.
Oh, yeah, well, sorry, Georgia.
That's all right.
No offense, okay, so, Mr. Bill, would you like to respond to that?
Well, I think that's stated pretty correctly, Judge. I think maybe some issues with property, just trying to work all that stuff out. But I think George's report is pretty accurate.
Okay. So we need to do a declaration of heirship and then either an independent or a dependent administration.
That's correct.
I put that out correctly?
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's go ahead and proceed with the declaration of heirship.
Okay. Let me see my judgment on the heirship. Yeah, this is it. Let me see. Here we go. Okay. Let me go John. Okay.
I believe they both filed one, didn't they?
We did. Go ahead and raise your hand. You want to
Both
swear?
filed one?
Judge?
All right, did we swear? Let's go ahead and swear everybody in. Anybody that's going to testify, raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're giving today is true and correct, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. And so both of you have filed a declaration of heirship. Mr. Bill, I think you filed yours first, so I'm gonna let you proceed on it.
Okay, Judge.
If side agrees, and we'll go with that declaration.
Okay. All right. Can you state your name, full name for the court, please?
Juanelle Guidry.
Okay. Can you hear, Judge? You might not speak.
I can hear.
Okay. Now, can you tell me who Mr. Lester Guidry Jr. was to you?
My spouse.
Your spouse? How long had y'all been married?
Since June the 20th, 1987.
Okay. Okay, I'm not a mathematician, but that's
33 years.
okay. Now, he's passed away, correct?
Correct.
And when and where did he pass away?
He passed away in Baytown, Texas, at San Jacinto Hospital, February the 24th, 2020.
Okay. And how old was he at that time?
65.
Okay. And 4 years has not elapsed since his death?
No.
Obviously, okay. Now you filed this heirship to determine who the heirs are, correct?
Correct.
Okay, come down. And obviously you're the wife, right?
Yes.
Now, just to be clear and for full disclosure to the court, y'all had been in the middle of a divorce for quite a while. Is that correct?
Yes.
Since when?
Since November the 10th, 2017.
Okay. Also, full disclosure, Ms. Clapper was your husband's attorney at the time, right?
Correct.
Okay. And your husband had two daughters from another relationship, correct?
Correct.
And who are they?
Erica Fontenot and Tara.
What's her last name? Stevens.
Stevens.
Okay. And you see them on the screen right there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, come down a little bit. Now, there's a necessity for this administration, correct? You need to, you've got property, you've got personal property, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as, while we're here, there's not an agreement for an independent administration at this point in time, right?
No.
Okay. But you have no problem serving as executor of this, the administrator of this estate, right?
Yeah.
You're not disqualified or anything. Okay, come down. And Judge, like she testified, we need the administration to dispose of the property and, you know, the correct percentage to everybody. And we're asking the court to grant an administration. Obviously, it's not agreed, so you'll have to determine how to do that. But I'll go ahead and pass witness, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Clapper.
I do. Ms. Guidry, you have been requested by the daughters for them to be able to go through the house, it's my understanding, in order to do an inventory of the things that are in their dad's home. Did you receive that request?
Yes.
Has that been done?
No.
And why did you not agree to do that?
The time that I was requested to do it, I was waiting to find out when they were gonna come and whatever. So I got in touch with my attorney to find out this information. And we just didn't get it done. With the two attorneys having to talk to one another.
Just to be clear, you know, we were going to allow them to walk through and everything, but we wanted a deputy to walk with them just to make sure that, you know, I mean, just to be safe on everybody's part. Nobody gets blamed for anything. And if it's my understanding, I think opposing counsel here didn't, he wanted a specific deputy to go and, you know,
They had a preference? Is that what you're saying?
they had a preference to the race, and we were not going to play that game, basically.
So that was not done.
Right.
Don't you agree that these daughters should have an input, Ms. Guidry, in the estate, since they would own 1/2 plus 2/3 of the separate and personal property?
So yes.
Yes.
And she has no problem. We just would like to.
So dependent sounds like. So you have no problem with having hearings before this court before anything is done, because the property concerns 3 people, not just one, as usually it does in most of these cases. So do you agree that a dependent administration where the court looks at it and makes sure that all parties understand what's going to be done would be really fair in this case?
And that's where the court's leaning anyway. So just from what I've heard. So.
Okay. That's probably true.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
No further questions.
All right. And Ms. Clapper, you agree to the declaration of heirship and the division
I reviewed
that has been.
I reviewed both of them. And I know Luis Rodriguez. I do not know the other one, but independent verification of the facts have been done. They are true. He was only married twice. At his death to Miss Guidry. And then he has 2 daughters. And the other marriage had stopped by a divorce, who I represented. Alzina, small world. I do recommend a dependent where you have control as to what happens here, so that there is some monitoring. And if they haven't, the daughters have 1 person involved in the estate, or 2, whatever it was as requested, along with Mrs. Guidry. I think that would be fair.
Yeah, it protects everyone. Mr. Sparks, anything from you?
Yes, Judge, I just want to say for the record, I think Mrs. Erica Fontenot and her sister, Mrs. Stevens, are on the same page and in agreement in terms of the issues regarding their father's estate. And also, Judge, for the record, I just want it to be known that subsequent to the filing of these applications, that certain properties of Mr. Guidry had been sold by Mrs. Guidry without communicating or sharing with us the intent to do so. And we need to know what the status is in terms of the dollars that were generated from the sale, i.e. particularly livestock that he had and that she had just arbitrarily made decisions in terms of selling and doing away with property in the estate. And so that's one of the reasons why we're concerned about having a dependent and possibly even a joint. Additionally, Judge, she indicated that they had been divorced. I mean, a divorce had been pending since 2017, but they hadn't lived together as husband and wife since like 2010. And so the daughters had been primarily in the life of their father and their heirlooms and things that they think are important and that they cherish in the home, and they like to have access to them, make sure that they're dispersed without them having some input.
Hey, Judge, and just to be clear, we did send over the receipts to the pigs that got sold because they kept getting out. I think one even injured itself and had to be taken care of. So I did send that information over to Mr. Sparks through discovery that he requested.
Okay, I received that they'd sold it, Judge, but we don't know what the status of the proceeds of the sale are.
Well, you have the amounts and she has the money in an account.
So once this is done, it'll be divided properly.
Sure, of course, yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and approve the application to determine heirship and letters of dependent administration for Miss Lester Guidry. Miss Wanell Guidry, excuse me. All right, anything else?
Judge, would you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Would you consider the joint that we've made a request for in reference to the Miss Erica Fontenot?
I would consider that, but I want the two ladies to tell me they can work together on this, get it done. Miss Fontenot?
Work with Miss Fontenot to get this done.
Could she's, yeah, there she is.
If I point to joint administrators, I mean, that means you and Miss Guidry have to work together.
Yes, I can.
Monell?
Yes.
Okay, then I don't have a problem with approving the joint dependent administration and appointing joint administrators, and that would be Miss Guidry and Miss Fontenot.
One other thing, Judge, if
Yes.
I may, it hadn't been raised, but for the diligent work that was done by Mrs. Clapper, we need to make some determination in terms of her fees. I don't know if she submitted anything to us.
I
we certainly need
filed
to-
something this morning for $600 designating what I had done in the case. So that would be acceptable.
And both sides agrees to that?
We do, Judge, and we have no problem with paying our fair share of that.
Ms.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes, sir.
Mr.
No
Bill,
problem.
sorry.
No problem.
Okay, thank you for reminding me of that. All right, that's approved. And anything else come before the court?
May I ask a question?
Go ahead, Melinda.
Okay, who's going to draw up that order?
I got it. Order declaring heirship, dependent administration, and appointing joint administrators.
And it's Erica and her. Okay.
Mr. Shelton already filed.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a bunch of people on the screen, huh?
Yeah. And Judge, also, just like we have no problem with the livestock that kept getting out and getting injured, and she took that to the sale barn. There were some bank accounts that they have closed, and we need some records on those also.
All right, you understand that, Mr. Sparks?
I do, Judge.
Okay. Yeah, you folks have got to share with each other to make this happen, so.
Your Honor, I
all of
have a
you.
separate order on the fees that will be in Melinda's office this morning.
Okay, sounds good. Take care. Merry
Thank you
Christmas.
for your time, Judge. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for working it out.
Yes.
For sure. Thank you.